There are nights when silence weighs more than unspoken words. Emily Johnson closed her eyes in front of the broken mirror, feeling the tears mix with the steam from the upstairs neighbor's leaking bathroom. Her hands, rough from work but soft for love, trembled as she held the letter that shattered her dreams. "Rejected," she read once more, and the word pierced her chest like a shard of glass. The rain beat against the window panes with the same fury that pounded in her heart. 20 years of life, and she had already learned that dreams hurt when they break, that hope is a luxury not everyone can afford. But in the darkness of that night, as she ran to the hospital with the last few dollars in her pocket, she didn't know that a voice would hear her whisper, "I have nothing left to eat at home." She didn't know that those words, spoken to the air and to hopelessness, would reach the ears of someone who was waiting, without knowing it, for the chance to discover that true love isn't found in gilded ballrooms, but in humble kitchens where the heart is served in every dish. The rain furiously battered the windows of the small apartment in Boyle Heights, Los Angeles. Emily Johnson, 20 years old, stood motionless before the cracked bathroom mirror, watching her green eyes cloud with tears. Her trembling hands held a crumpled letter. "We regret to inform you that your application for a scholarship to the Culinary Institute of America has been rejected. This can't be. It can't be," she murmured, letting the paper fall to the damp floor. She had worked double shifts at Mr. Peterson's diner for 6 months, saving every dollar to cover the application fees. Her dream of becoming a chef was vanishing like the steam from the broken shower upstairs. The phone rang. It was her younger sister, Sarah, 17. "Em, are you home yet? Mum's really sick. We took her to the hospital. They need money for the tests." Emily's world collapsed. With her heart racing, she grabbed the last bills she had saved in a coffee can and ran out into the storm. At the hospital, her mother, Carol, 45, lay pale on a gurney. The doctors spoke of an urgent operation, high costs, a life-threatening risk. Emily felt her throat tighten. "Miss, we need the payment immediately," the nurse said in a cold voice. I don't have that much money right now, but I can get it," Emily replied, struggling to maintain her composure. "I'm sorry, but without the payment, we cannot proceed." Emily left the hospital with shaky steps. The rain had stopped, but the cold chilled her to the bone. She sat on a bench in a nearby park, watching the lights of the luxurious buildings gleaming in the distance in Beverly Hills. She felt invisible, insignificant, like another raindrop on the pavement. In that moment of absolute desperation, she remembered an ad she had seen that morning. Kitchen staff wanted for a private event, immediate payment, experience required, with no other options. Emily went to the address listed, an imposing residence in Beverly Hills. The place intimidated her from the start. Perfectly manicured gardens, marble fountains, enormous windows revealing the golden interior of the mansion. The housekeeper, an older woman named Helen, greeted her with suspicion. "Do you have experience in gourmet cooking?" she asked, sizing her up from head to toe. "Yes, ma'am. I've worked in several restaurants," Emily lied, her voice breaking with urgency. The test was simple. Prepare dinner for 8 people. Emily took refuge in the kitchen, a space larger than her entire apartment, with appliances she had never seen before. Her hands trembled at first, but soon her passion for cooking took over. She prepared a seafood cioppino, her specialty learned from her grandmother. The aroma filled the kitchen, momentarily transporting her away from her problems. As she cooked, she didn't notice someone watching her from the doorway. Ethan Williams, 30 years old, heir to one of the largest fortunes on the West Coast, had returned from a business trip the week before. Tall, with intense blue eyes and an elegant demeanor, he had been avoiding the social gatherings his family organized for 2 years. He preferred the silence of his study, where he managed his tech companies. But that night, something had drawn him out of his refuge. The most delicious aroma he had smelled in years, and the sound of a female voice singing softly as she cooked. He approached stealthily and saw her, A young woman with fair skin, brown hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, moving around the kitchen with a natural grace that mesmerized him. There were tears on her cheeks, but she was still smiling as she prepared the dishes. Emily sensed a presence and turned. Seeing Ethan, her heart sped up, not because of his attractiveness, but because of the intensity of his gaze. It was as if he could see right through her soul. "Sorry, sir, I didn't know." "Don't apologize," Ethan interrupted in a soft but firm voice. "It smells incredible. How did you learn to cook like this?" "My grandmother. She taught me that cooking is putting your heart into every dish," Emily replied, looking down. Ethan moved closer, and Emily could smell his subtle cologne mixed with the aroma of her cooking. There was something about him that both calmed and unsettled her. "What's your name?" "Emily Johnson." "I'm Ethan, and I think you just saved this dinner." For the first time all day, Emily smiled genuinely. She didn't know that this encounter would change her destiny forever. The dinner was a resounding success. The guests praised every bite, asking about the chef. Emily received the full payment and a generous tip of $3,000, which would allow her to cover her mother's medical expenses. But when she said goodbye to Ethan at the kitchen door, something had changed inside her. The way he had looked at her, as if she were the most important person in the world, was etched in her memory. "Thank you, Emily. I hope to see you again soon," Ethan said, extending his hand. When their skin touched, they both felt an electric jolt that neither could ignore. Emily returned to the hospital with the money, but also with a new feeling in her chest. Her mother's surgery was successful, and as she watched her sleep in the hospital bed, she couldn't stop thinking about those blue eyes that had seen something in her that she herself didn't even know existed. She thought that was the worst night of her life, but she couldn't imagine what was yet to come. Have you ever felt like no one saw you until someone did? Give this a like if you want to know what will happen between Emily and Ethan. Comment with the city you're following from and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter. A week later, Emily was back to her routine at Mr. Peterson's diner, but something had changed. Her co-workers noticed she smiled more, that there was a different sparkle in her green eyes. Even Mr. Peterson, a 60-year-old man hardened by life, had noticed. "Hey, Em, what's gotten into you? You look different," he said while cleaning the griddle. "Nothing, Mr. P. It's just that my mom is doing better." But it wasn't just that. All week, Emily had relived every second of that night. The way Ethan had looked at her, his voice when he asked for her name, the touch of their hands. She scolded herself for thinking about someone so out of her league, but it couldn't help it. On Thursday afternoon, while making cheeseburgers, she heard a familiar voice behind her. "Could I get 2 classic cheeseburgers and 1 order of fries, please?" Emily turned and almost dropped the spatula. Ethan was there, dressed in jeans and a white shirt, completely out of place among the construction workers and students who frequented the diner. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" she asked, feeling the heat rise to her cheeks. "I was curious to try your food on your home." "And turf," he replied with a smile that made her pulse race. Mr. Peterson watched the scene with interest. He had never seen such a well-dressed man in his establishment, let alone talking to Emily as if he knew her. "Of course, I'll get that right for you," she said, trying to keep her hands steady as she worked the grill. Ethan sat at one of the plastic booths, and Emily could feel his gaze on her as she worked. She prepared the burgers with extra care, adding the secret sauce she knew made them perfect. When she brought them to him, Ethan took the first bite and closed his eyes, savoring it. "Incredible. It's completely different from the gourmet food the other night, but it has something, I don't know how to explain it." "It has love," Emily replied without thinking, then blushed at her own forwardness. "Exactly. It has love," Ethan repeated, looking at her with that disarming intensity. They talked for his entire lunch break. Ethan told her about his tech companies, about the months he'd spent in Silicon Valley, about the constant pressure from his family to marry some heiress from a good family. Emily shared her dreams of studying at a top culinary school, her love for creating new flavors, the responsibility she felt for her family. They talked about everything and nothing as if they had known each other forever. "You know," Ethan said before leaving. "I have a proposal for you." Emily's heart stopped. "This Saturday is an important family dinner at my house. My grandmother is turning 80, and the caterer we hired got sick. Would you be interested in preparing the dinner? I'd pay you very well." Emily wanted to say yes immediately, but something held her back. "Ethan, I don't know if I fit into that world of yours." "You don't have to fit into any world, Emily. You just have to be yourself." That night, Emily couldn't sleep. She told her sister Sarah everything, who encouraged her to accept. "Em, are you crazy? It's an incredible opportunity. Besides, you can tell that guy likes you." "Don't be ridiculous, Sarah. We're from completely different worlds. Love doesn't care about social classes, sis. Mom has always told us that." Saturday arrived faster than expected. Emily dressed in her best clothes, black slacks and a white blouse she had bought for job interviews. She put her hair up in an elegant bun and applied a little of the lipstick Sarah had given her for her birthday. The residence was full of guests when she arrived. Men in expensive suits, women with sparkling jewelry, conversations in several languages. Emily felt small amidst so much opulence, but she took a deep breath and headed to the kitchen. Helen greeted her with a warmer smile than last time. "So glad you could make it, dear. Mrs. Eleanor is very excited to try your food." Emily had planned a menu that honored American traditions with a modern twist. Roasted tomato soup with goat cheese croutons, slow-cooked beef brisket, and for dessert, a classic apple pie with homemade salted caramel sauce. As she cooked, she could hear the voices of the guests in the garden. Occasionally, Ethan would appear in the kitchen to see how things were going, and every time their eyes met, Emily felt butterflies in her stomach. "Smells spectacular," he told her on one of his visits, getting close enough for her to smell his cologne. "I hope your grandmother likes it. She's going to love it. But more importantly, how are you feeling?" The question surprised her. It wasn't what she expected to hear. Nervous, but excited. "I love cooking for special people." "You are special too, Emily," Ethan said, and there was something in his eyes she couldn't decipher. The dinner was served in the main garden, lit with warm lights and candles. Emily watched from the kitchen as the guests tried each dish. The expressions of surprise and delight filled her with pride. But the most important moment came when Mrs. Eleanor, Ethan's grandmother, asked to meet the chef. She was an elegant woman, with perfectly coiffed white hair and blue eyes like her grandson's, but softer, full of wisdom. "You must be Emily," she said, taking her hands. "My dear, this meal reminded me of my youth, when the kitchen was the heart of the home." "Thank you very much, Mom. It's an honor to cook for you." "No, my dear, the honor is mine. I haven't tasted a brisket this authentic in years." "Where did you learn?" "From my grandmother, Mom. She used to say cooking is an act of love." Mrs. Eleanor looked at Ethan with a knowing smile. "Your grandmother was right, and it's clear you cook with a lot of love." That night, after the guests left, Ethan walked Emily to the door. The garden was quiet. Only the sound of the marble fountain could be heard. "Thank you, Emily. Not just for the dinner, but for reminding me what really matters." "What do you mean?" "Authenticity, passion, cooking with love, as you said." They stood facing each other, and Emily felt time stand still. Ethan slowly raised his hand and gently caressed her cheek. "Can I see you tomorrow?" he asked in a hoarse voice. "Ethan, please, just as friends, if that makes you more comfortable." Emily nodded, unable to speak. When Ethan leaned in and gave her a soft kiss on the forehead, she felt something break and rebuild inside her at the same time. On the way home, with her heart pounding, Emily couldn't believe what was happening. A man like Ethan Williams, who could have any woman, wanted to see her again. But as the taxi crossed the streets leading back to her reality, a small voice in her head whispered that this couldn't last, that the differences between them were too great. However, for the first time in a long time, she decided to listen to her heart instead of her fears, and just as she began to trust, the past returned without warning. Do you think love can overcome differences in social class? Comment with your opinion and the city you're following from. Give. This alike if you want to know what secret from the past will change everything. On Sunday morning, Emily woke up with a strange feeling in her chest. For the first time in years, she had gone to sleep thinking about something beautiful instead of worrying about problems. But along with the excitement, fear also came. She got up early to visit her mother at the hospital. Carol looked much better, with colour in her cheeks and a smile that hadn't appeared in weeks. "Honey, you look radiant. Did something good happen?" her mother asked, knowing her daughter better than anyone. "Just that the job the other night went really well, Mom." "Don't lie to me, Emily. Your eyes have a different shine. Did you meet someone?" Emily sighed. She could never hide anything from her mother. "Yes, but it's complicated. He's very different from us." Carol took her daughter's hands in hers. "Honey, true love knows no differences. Your father and I came from different worlds, remember? He was the son of a small business owner. I was a farmer's daughter. But we loved each other honestly, and that was enough." Emily remembered her father, who had died in a work accident when she was 15. He had been a good, hard-working man who had always treated them like princesses despite having little money. But what if he realizes I'm not good enough for him? Then he's not the right man for you. But don't make that decision for him, my love. Give him the chance to really know you. That afternoon, Ethan called her to invite her for a walk in Griffith Park. Emily accepted, although her nerves had her trembling. They met at the park entrance. Ethan arrived dressed casually, but elegantly, in dark jeans and a blue shirt that brought out his eyes. When he saw her, his smile was so genuine that Emily felt herself melt. "You look beautiful," he said, and it wasn't a rehearsed line. You could tell he meant it. They walked along the park trails, talking about everything and nothing. Ethan told her about his childhood, about how his father had built the family empire from scratch, starting with a small grocery store in another city. "A lot of people think I was born with a silver spoon, but my dad taught us the value of work from a young age. I started washing dishes in one of his restaurants when I was 12. Emily listened, fascinated. It was a side of him she hadn't imagined. "And your tech companies, they started as a crazy dream. I wanted to create something that would really help people. I developed a platform that connects small food producers with restaurants. It's like giving a voice to the people who really know how to cook, like you." They stopped in front of the observatory, where families were looking out over the city. Ethan bought hot dogs from a street vendor, and Emily laughed as she watched him try to eat it without making a mess. "You're definitely not used to street food," she said, wiping a small smudge of mustard from the corner of his mouth with her thumb. The gesture was so natural, so intimate, that they both froze. Ethan took her hand and brought it to his lips, gently kissing the tip of her finger. "Emily," he murmured, and her name sounded different on his lips. "Yes? Can I be honest with you?" She nodded, though her heart was beating so hard she feared he could hear it. "I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since that night. It's not just your cooking, although it's extraordinary. It's because of the way you are, the way you treat people, your strength, how you light up any room you're in." Emily felt tears welling up in her eyes. "Ethan, I've been thinking about you too, but I'm scared." "Scared of what?" "That you'll realize I'm not enough. That I don't fit into your world, that this is just a whim." Ethan dropped her hand and stepped back, a pained expression on his face. "A whim? Do you really think I'm that superficial?" "No, that's not it. It's just, look around you, Ethan. Look where you live, the people you surround yourself with. And then look at me. I work at a diner. I live in a rented room. My fanciest clothes are what I'm wearing right now. And you think I care about that? How could you not? You could be with any woman." "But I don't want to be with any woman," he interrupted, taking her by the shoulders. "I want to be with you, with Emily Johnson, who cooks with her soul, who sacrifices for her family, who has the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen in my life." Emily sank onto a nearby bench, overwhelmed by her emotions. "I don't know how to do this, Ethan. I don't know how to be with someone like you." Ethan sat beside her, leaving a respectful space between them. You know what? I don't know how to do this either. All the women I've known before, it was all so predictable, so calculated. I knew exactly what they expected of me, what I should say, how I should act. With you, it's different. With you, I want to be a better person. They sat in silence, watching the families enjoying their Sunday in the park. A little boy shyly approached Emily, offering her a flower he had picked. "For the pretty lady," he said in a tiny voice. Emily bent down to his level. "Thank you so much, little one. What's your name?" "Carlos, are you a princess?" Emily laughed tenderly. "No, sweetie, I'm just a normal girl." "But you look like a princess," the boy insisted before running back to his family. Ethan watched the whole scene with a smile on his lips. "See, even kids can tell how special you are." That afternoon, as the sun began to set, they walked back towards the park exit. Ethan insisted on driving her home, despite Emily's protests. "You don't have to get out of the car," she said when they reached her street. "It's a bit of a complicated neighborhood." "Emily, I don't care where you live. I care about you." When they got out of the car, the neighbors watched with curiosity. It wasn't common to see such an elegant car in that area. Emily felt embarrassed, but Ethan walked by her side naturally, greeting the people they met with a friendly nod. In front of her apartment building, they said goodbye. Ethan took her hands in his. "Can I see you tomorrow night? I have something to show you." "What is it?" "A surprise. Trust me." Emily nodded, and Ethan leaned in to kiss her on the cheek. But at the last moment she turned her face, and their lips brushed lightly. It was barely a touch, but it felt like an electric shock. "Passed through them. Until tomorrow," Ethan murmured, his voice hoarse. Emily walked up the stairs feeling like she was floating. But when she opened the door to her apartment, reality hit her like a bucket of cold water. Sarah was waiting for her with a worried expression, and next to her was a man Emily had never wanted to see again. Ryan Miller, her ex-boyfriend. "Hello, Emily," Ryan said with that smile that once charmed her and now filled her with mistrust. "We need to talk." Ryan was 25, with black hair and brown eyes that had once been her downfall. He had been her first love, her first everything, but he had also been the one who abandoned her when she needed him most, who had chosen opportunities in Chicago over their relationship. "What are you doing here, Ryan?" Emily asked, feeling all the magic of the day fade away. "I came back for you. I made a mistake by leaving, and I want to fix it." Emily looked at her sister, who shrugged apologetically. "He showed up an hour ago, Em. He says he has something important to tell you." Ryan approached Emily, and she could smell his familiar cologne, the same one that used to drive her crazy. "Emily, these 2 years in Chicago made me realize that you are the woman of my life. I got a good job, saved money, and now I can offer you the life you always dreamed of." "Ryan, Wait, let me finish. I know I hurt you when I left, but everything I did was with our future in mind. Now we can be together for real, without financial worries, without limitations." Emily felt the world spin. For 2 years she had cried over his absence, had built walls around her heart to protect herself from the pain. And now, just when she had started to open up again, he was back. "You can't just show up after 2 years and pretend nothing happened," she said with a trembling voice. "But nothing has happened, right?" Ryan asked, getting closer. "Tell me you didn't miss me. Tell me you didn't think about me." Emily couldn't answer, because it would be a lie. She had missed him. She had thought about him. She had cried over his absence. But that was before she met Ethan, before she discovered she could feel something completely different. "Ryan, a lot has happened." "Exactly. Horrible things have happened. Your mum got sick. You had to drop your studies. You've been working jobs you don't deserve. But I'm here now, and I can change everything." Sarah watched the scene with concern. She knew her sister, knew that Ryan had been her great love and her great pain. "Em, maybe you should hear him out." "No, Sarah. Ryan, I appreciate you coming, but things have changed. I've changed." "Because of that rich guy I saw you with today?" Ryan asked, his voice turning hard. Emily felt a chill. Had he been following her? What are you talking about? I saw you in Griffith Park with him. An elegant man, an expensive car. Do you really think someone like that could truly love you? You and I both know those. Men just play with women like us. Ryan's words were like daggers to Emily's heart because they touched on her own exact fears. Ryan, please leave. Emily, just think about it. Don't make a decision you might regret. You know where to find me. After Ryan left, Emily sat in her small living room, her head in her hands. Sarah sat next to her. Are you okay, sis? I don't know, Sarah, I don't know. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. Ryan's words echoed in her head. Do you really think someone like that could truly love you? What he said before he left will change the course of the whole story. Can first love compete with a new love? Is Ryan right about Ethan's intentions? Comment with what you think Emily should do and the city you're following from. Give this a like if you're enjoying this story. Emily woke up on Monday with her eyes swollen from crying. She had spent the entire night turning over Ryan's words, her own fears, and the conflicting feelings that tortured her. She mechanically got ready for work, but her reflection in the mirror scared her. She had deep, dark circles, pale lips, and the light that had shone in her eyes for the past few days had been extinguished. At the diner, Mr. Peterson immediately noticed her state. What's wrong, kiddo? You look like you've seen a ghost. I didn't sleep well, Mr. P. Trouble with the handsome fella? Emily looked at him surprised. You saw him? Of course, I saw him. And I also saw how your eyes lit up when you talked to him. But today you look like a different person. What happened? Emily sighed as she chopped onions. The tears that welled up weren't just from the sting. My ex came back, Mr. P., the one who left 2 years ago. Ah, I see. And now you're confused. He says he loves me, that everything he did was for our future. But he also says that Ethan, that the handsome man is just playing with me. Mr. Peterson stopped cleaning the griddle and looked at her intently. Kid, I've lived 70 years in this world. I've seen it all, and I'm going to tell you one thing. True love doesn't leave for 2 years without a word. True love doesn't abandon you when things get tough. But he says he can give me everything I need now. And what do you need, Emily? Money, security, or do you need someone to look at you with the eyes that boy had the other day? Mr. Peterson's words struck a deep chord in her heart, but before she could answer, her phone rang. It was Ethan. Hello, beautiful. How did you wake up? Ethan's voice both calmed and agitated her at the same time. Fine, she lied. You don't sound convincing. Did something happen? Emily hesitated. Should she tell him about Ryan? Did she have the right to involve Ethan in her past problems? I'm just a little tired. Are we still on for tonight? I have something very special to show you. Ethan, maybe it's better if we leave it for another day. There was a silence on the other end of the line. Emily, are you trying to push me away? No, it's complicated. Can I stop by the diner on my lunch break? I need to see you. Emily looked at Mr. Peterson, who had overheard the whole conversation and was gesturing for her to say yes. Okay. When Ethan arrived 2 hours later, Emily felt her breath catch. He was even more handsome than she remembered, in a grey suit that fit him perfectly and that smile that melted her. But she also noticed the concern in his blue eyes. Hi, he said simply, approaching the counter. Hi, can we talk in private? Mr. Peterson intervened without waiting for a response. Emily, go take your break. I'll handle everything. They went for a walk through the neighborhood streets. Ethan immediately noticed that something had changed in her, that there was a distance that hadn't existed the day before. What's wrong, Emily? Yesterday we were so good. Ethan, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be completely honest with me. I'm always honest. With you. What do you expect from me? What do you really want? Ethan stopped short, surprised by the question. What do you mean? I mean, is this real for you, or am I just a distraction, a different kind of adventure? Ethan's face hardened. Who put that idea in your head? Emily looked down, unable to meet his penetrating gaze. No one. It's just, I've been thinking. We're very different, Ethan. Maybe it's for the best. Maybe it's for the best what? That I walk away before you. Really get to know me? That's not it. Then what is it? Because yesterday you told me you had been thinking about me too. Was that a lie? It wasn't a lie, Emily whispered, her voice cracking. Ethan took her hands in his, forcing her to look at him. Emily, I'm going to tell you something I've never told any other woman. Since I met you, I haven't been able to think about anything but you. It's not just physical attraction. It's not curiosity. It's not a whim. It's something I feel here. He put his hand over his heart. It's something that scares me as much as it scares you, Ethan. I'm not finished. I know we come from different worlds. I know there are obstacles, but I also know that when I'm with you, I feel more myself than ever. When you cook, when you smile, when you talk about your dreams, you make me want to be a better person. Tears began to roll down Emily's cheeks. What if it doesn't work out? What if in the end you realize I can't give you what you need? And what if it does? What if in the end we realize we're exactly what the other needs? They stood in the middle of the sidewalk, looking into each other's eyes as the world continued to spin around them. Emily felt like she was at a crossroads. She could listen to her fears and walk away from Ethan, or she could listen to her heart and take a risk. There's something I haven't told you, she finally said. Tell me. My ex came back last night. We were together for 2 years, and he left for Chicago without saying goodbye. Now he says he came back for me. Ethan felt as if he had been punched in the gut, but he maintained his composure. And what do you feel for him? Confusion, pain. For a long time, I thought I loved him. But now I don't know if what I felt was love or just habit. What did he say about me? Emily looked down again. That men like you only play with women like me. Ethan let go of her hands and took a step back, visibly hurt. And you believed him? Don't know, it matches my own fears. Emily, look at me. He waited until she looked up. I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. I've hurt people. I've made decisions I regret. But I would never, ever play with someone's feelings, especially not yours. How can I be sure? You can't. Just like I can't be sure you won't go back to him. But that's what it means to take a risk for love. That's what it means to trust. Emily felt her heart break in two. Part of her wanted to run into Ethan's arms and forget everything else. But another part, the hurt and fearful part, screamed at her to protect herself. I need time to think, she finally said. Ethan nodded, although it was obvious the answer hurt him. I'll give you all the time you need. But I want you to know one thing. No matter what happens, these days with you have been the most real of my life. He leaned in and gave her a soft kiss on the forehead, so tender that Emily felt herself melt. When you're ready, you know where to find me. Emily watched him walk away, and every step he took felt like a stab in her chest. She stood on the corner, watching his figure disappear into the crowd, wondering if she had just made the biggest mistake of her life. That night, Ryan called to invite her to dinner. Emily accepted, more out of confusion than any real desire to see him. They met at a trendy restaurant in Santa Monica, a world away from her familiar one. Ryan looked handsome, self-assured, and there was something comforting in his familiarity. He knew all her stories, knew exactly what to say to make her laugh, remembered all the little details they had shared. Remember our first kiss? He asked, taking her hand across the table. Of course I remember, Emily replied, feeling a pang of nostalgia. It was under the jacaranda tree in your neighborhood park. You had made a special pasta for my birthday. And you told me it was the best in the world, even though it was horribly salty. They both laughed, and for a moment Emily felt as if they had gone back in time. I love you, Emily. I've always loved you. I know I made mistakes, but I'm here now. We can start over. Emily looked at Ryan's familiar face, his brown eyes she knew so well, his smile that had been her refuge for so long. It was safe, known, predictable. But then she remembered Ethan's blue eyes, the way he made her feel special, unique, valued. She remembered the intensity of their conversations, the way he truly listened to her. Ryan, I can't give you an answer right now. It's because of him, isn't it? That millionaire. It's because of me. I need to figure out what I really want. Ryan leaned forward, taking both of Emily's hands. "That's fine. I'll wait for you, because I know that in the end you'll realize that what we have is real. He can offer you luxuries, but I can offer you true love." On the way home, Emily felt more confused than ever. Ryan represented security, shared history, a known love. Ethan represented passion, growth, but also uncertainty. Can you love someone who broke your soul? The answer is one step away. Who should Emily end up with? The love from the past who returned, or the new love who makes her feel special? Comment your opinion and the city you're following from. Give this a like if you want to know what decision she'll make. 3 days had passed since her last conversation with Ethan, and Emily felt like a lost soul. She worked mechanically at the diner, smiled when necessary, but inside she felt empty. Ryan had been calling her every day, being the attentive and persistent boyfriend he had been at the beginning of their relationship. Flowers, sweet messages, plans for the future. It was as if he wanted to erase the 2 years of absence in one fell swoop. On Wednesday afternoon, as Emily was cleaning the diner tables, Helen, the housekeeper from the Williams mansion, walked in. "Emily, so good to see you, dear." "Mrs. Helen, how are you? What brings you?" "Here. I came looking for you. Mr. Ethan has been acting very strange these last few days. He's not eating, barely leaves his study, and just stares out the window as if he's waiting for something." Emily's heart raced. "Ma'am, Look, dear, I've worked for that family for 20 years. I've seen Mr. Ethan with many women, and I've never, ever seen him like this. That boy is truly in love." "It's complicated, Mrs. Helen." "Love is always complicated, my child, but some complications are worth it." Helen moved closer, lowering her voice. "Besides, there's something I think you should know about your ex-boyfriend." Emily felt a shiver. "What do you mean?" "My cousin Lucy works at a private investigation agency. She told me that a man named Ryan Miller hired her services a week ago to investigate Mr. Ethan and you." "What?" "He wanted to know how much money Mr. Ethan has, what properties, what businesses, and he also asked them to investigate if you've had other boyfriends, where you work, how much you earn." Emily felt the ground move beneath her feet. "That can't be—" "My cousin told him they couldn't give out that information, but he was very insistent. He even offered to pay extra." Emily's world reeled. Ryan hadn't just been following her, he had been investigating her life and Ethan's. Why would he do something like that if he really loved her? "Thank you for telling me, Mrs. Helen." "You're welcome, dear. Just be careful and think things through." That night, Emily couldn't concentrate on anything. Helen's words echoed in her head. What kind of man secretly investigated the woman he supposedly loved? On Thursday morning, Ryan called to invite her to lunch. This time, Emily accepted with a hidden agenda. She wanted to confront him about what she had discovered. They met at a cafe near the hospital, where her mother was still recovering. Ryan arrived with a bouquet of red roses and that charming smile that used to melt her. "For the most beautiful woman in the world," he said, offering her the flowers. "Thanks," Emily replied, but there was no warmth in her voice. They ordered their drinks, and Ryan began to talk about his plans, the house he wanted to buy, the trip they would take to Europe, the children they would have. "Ryan," Emily interrupted, "I need to ask you something." "Of course, my love. Anything." "Have you been investigating Ethan Williams?" Ryan's face changed instantly. The smile vanished, and his eyes hardened. "What are you talking about?" "You know exactly what I'm talking about. You hired a private investigation agency." Ryan was silent for a few seconds, calculating his response. "Okay, yes, but it was to protect you." "To protect me? From what?" "Emily, that man is dangerous. His family has questionable connections. His businesses aren't as clean as they seem." "That's a lie." "How do you know? Do you really know him? Do you know where his money comes from?" Emily felt a pang of doubt, but pushed it away. "What I know is that you had no right to investigate him, or me. I have the right because I love you, because I want to protect you from making a mistake." "A mistake? Like the mistake you made when you abandoned me?" Ryan leaned forward, his voice becoming more aggressive. I left you because I wanted to build a future for us. Everything I did was for you. Lies. You left me because a better opportunity came along, and I didn't fit into your plans. Emily, are you really going to throw away a 2-year relationship for a man you barely know? Are you really going to manipulate me using my own past? The tension between them was palpable. Other customers in the cafe began to turn and look at them. Ryan switched tactics, softening his voice. My love, I know you're confused. That man has you dazzled with his money, with his elegant world. But what's going to happen when he gets bored of you? What will you do when he finds someone from his own social class? Ryan's words hit exactly on Emily's deepest fears, and he knew it. Ryan, this isn't working. I can't be with you. Is that your final word? Yes. Ryan stood up from the table, his love-struck mask falling away completely. Fine, Emily. But when that millionaire breaks your heart, don't come crying to me, and don't think it'll be easy to forget me. What do you mean by that? I mean, I know all your secrets, all your weaknesses. I know how to hurt you if I have to. Emily felt a chill of fear. Are you threatening me? I'm warning you. That man is not for you, and by the time you realize it, it'll be too late. Ryan left without paying the bill, leaving Emily trembling in her chair. For the first time, she saw the true face of the man she had been with for 2 years. Manipulative, controlling, possessive. She stood up on shaky legs and left the cafe. She needed fresh air. She needed to think. She walked aimlessly through the streets until she found herself, without realizing it, in front of Ethan's office. Building. It was a modern glass building, imposing and elegant. Through the lobby windows, she could see the logo of his companies, the constant movement of well-dressed executives. For a moment, she felt small and insignificant. What was she doing there? What was she going to say to Ethan? But then she remembered Mr. Peterson's words. True love doesn't abandon you when things get tough. And she remembered the way Ethan had looked at her, as if she were the most important person in the world. She gathered her courage and entered the building. The receptionist, an elegant and perfectly made-up woman, looked at her with a certain disdain. How can I help you? I'm looking for Mr. Ethan Williams. Do you have an appointment? No, but it's urgent. I'm sorry, but Mr. Williams does not see visitors without a prior appointment. Emily felt her heart sink. She had been a fool to think she could just show up at his office. I understand. Thank you. As she headed for the exit, she heard a familiar voice. Emily! She turned and saw Ethan getting out of the elevator. He was accompanied by several executives, all in expensive suits, all looking at her with curiosity. Ethan, I'm sorry to bother you at work. Ethan quickly excused himself from his companions and approached her. You're not bothering me. What's wrong? You look upset. Can we talk in private? Of course. Come with me. He took her to his office, an elegant space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire city. Emily felt even more out of place. What happened? Ethan asked, closing the door. I have to tell you something about Ryan, and I have to apologize. They sat on the leather sofas in front of the window, and Emily told him everything. The private investigation, the threats, the manipulation. I also want you to know why I was with him, she continued in a trembling voice. Ryan was my first boyfriend, my first love, my first time. When he left, it shattered me. It made me feel like I wasn't enough, like I wasn't worth staying for. Ethan listened in silence, his fists clenched. When you appeared, I got scared, because you made me feel things I thought I'd never feel again. But you also terrified me, because I couldn't believe someone like you could be interested in someone like me. Emily. No, let me finish. Ryan took advantage of my insecurities, my fears. He made me doubt you myself, what I was feeling. But today I realized something. What? That true love doesn't investigate in secret. It doesn't manipulate. It doesn't threaten. True love makes you feel valuable, not insignificant. Ethan moved closer to her, taking her hands. And what do you feel for me? Fear, she answered honestly. But I also feel that with you, I can be the best version of myself, that you see me not just as I am, but as who I can become. Emily, There's something I have to tell you. Something that might change everything. Emily's heart stopped. What is it? Ethan took a deep breath before speaking. Your father, he worked for my family. What? He was a supervisor on one of our construction sites. He died in an accident on one of our sites 5 years ago. Emily's world swayed. Her father had died in a work accident, but she never knew which company he worked for. Are you telling me that... I'm telling you that my family is partly responsible for your father's death. Emily shot up, feeling like she couldn't breathe. Did you know who I was from the beginning? No, Ethan replied desperately. I didn't know until yesterday, when I decided to investigate why Ryan was snooping into my life. My investigator brought me your complete history, and that's when I saw your father's name. And that's why you approached me? Out of guilt? No. Emily, what I feel for you has nothing to do with your father, but you needed to know. Emily headed for the door, but Ethan stopped her. Please, don't leave like this. We can talk about this. I can't process this right now. Emily, your father was a brave man. He died trying to save another worker. My family established a scholarship fund in his honor. A scholarship fund. And why did I never know about it? Because we lost contact with your family after the funeral. You moved, and we could never find you. Emily felt tears rolling down her cheeks. Are you telling me I could have gone to culinary school, that we didn't have to struggle? Yes, and it's my fault we didn't do more to find you. The secret will finally be revealed, and nothing will ever be the same. Can Emily forgive the fact that Ethan's family is responsible for her father's death? Will this change everything between them? Comment with what you think will happen and the city you're following from. Give this a like if you're moved by this revelation. Emily ran through the streets aimlessly, her heart shattered and her mind in chaos. Ethan's revelations had stirred up wounds she thought were closed and opened new questions she didn't know how to answer. She found herself, without realizing it, at the cemetery where her father was buried. She sat in front of his grave, looking at the simple headstone they had managed to afford with so much effort. Dad, she murmured, her voice breaking, I don't know what to do. How can I love the son of the people who caused your death? The wind gently rustled the flowers she had left the previous week. In the silence of the cemetery, Emily could hear her own thoughts clearly. Her father had been a good, hard-working man who had always taught her that resentment only poisons the soul. Always forgive, honey, he would tell her when she was little. Forgiveness isn't for others, it's for yourself. That night, Emily didn't go home. She stayed at the hospital with her mother, who was finally being discharged the next day. Carol immediately noticed her daughter's state. What's wrong, my love? You look like you've seen a ghost. Emily told her everything, about Ethan, about Ryan, about the connection between the Williams family and her father's death. Carol listened in silence, taking her daughter's hands in hers. Honey, your dad told me a lot about that company. He said that Mr. Williams Sr. was a fair man, that he cared about his workers. The accident was terrible, but it was exactly that, an accident. How can you say that, Mom? Because I know your father. If he had felt that company didn't respect its workers, he would have left. He died doing what he loved, building things that would last forever. But Ethan knew who I was before he met you? No, he found out later. Then why do you doubt his feelings? Emily was thoughtful. Her mother was right. Ethan had fallen for her without knowing anything about her father. Knowing the truth hadn't made him pull away. On the contrary, he had been honest with her. The next day, Emily helped her mother settle in at home. Carol was much better, laughing with Sarah and making plans to gradually return to her activities. Sarah said as they prepared lunch, are you going to look for Ethan? I don't know, Sarah. It's so complicated. More complicated than Ryan threatening you. More complicated than living with a broken heart. At that moment, there was a knock on the door. It was Helen, accompanied by a very elegant older woman whom Emily recognized immediately, Mrs. Eleanor, Ethan's grandmother. Excuse the intrusion, Mrs. Eleanor said in A soft voice. "May we speak with Emily?" They invited them in, and Mrs. Eleanor observed the small apartment with respect, not with the condescension Emily might have expected. "My grandson told me what happened yesterday," Mrs. Eleanor began, "and I wanted to come personally to talk to you about your father." "Ma'am, you don't have to—" "Yes, I do, my dear. Your father, Joseph Johnson, was one of the best men who ever worked for us. He was a supervisor because the other workers respected and trusted him." Mrs. Eleanor took a folder out of her purse. "These are all the letters of recommendation he wrote for his colleagues. All the times he requested better safety conditions. All the occasions he helped families in trouble." Emily took the folder with trembling hands. Opening it, she found documents in her father's handwriting. Formal requests to improve safety equipment, scholarship applications for the workers' children. "The day he died," Mrs. Eleanor continued, "a young 18-year-old worker was trapped when part of the structure collapsed. Your father went in to save him without a thought for the danger. He managed to get him out, but he couldn't get out in time." Tears rolled down Emily's cheeks as she read the testimonies of her father's colleagues, all speaking of his heroism, his kindness. "My husband was devastated after the accident. We implemented new safety measures, created the scholarship fund in your father's honor, and promised that nothing like that would ever happen again." "Why did we never know about the scholarship fund?" "Because after the funeral, your family disappeared. You moved and didn't have a landline. We hired investigators, but they could never find you." Helen intervened gently. "Mr. Ethan has been looking for you since he found out who you were. He wants to honor your father's memory and ensure your family receives everything it's entitled to. But more importantly," Mrs. Eleanor added, "my grandson loves you, and I have never seen him as happy as when he talks about you." Emily was overwhelmed with emotions. "I don't know if I can. It's all so complicated." "My child," Mrs. Eleanor said, taking her hands, "true love isn't easy, but it doesn't have to be impossible either. Your father was a man of honor, and I'm sure he would want you to be happy." After Mrs. Eleanor and Helen left, Emily stayed, reading the documents about her father. Each page filled her with both pride and pain. Her father had been a hero, not just on the day he died, but every day of his life. Carol approached her daughter. "What are you going to do, my love?" I think I need to see him. I need to talk to him." "With Ethan?" "Yes. I need to know if what I feel is real, or if I'm just confused by everything that's happened." That afternoon, Emily got ready with special care. She put on her blue dress, the one she had bought for a job interview but had never worn. She applied light makeup and put her hair up in a loose bun. "You look beautiful," Sarah told her, smiling knowingly. "What if he doesn't want to see me anymore? What if he thought it was better to stay away?" "There's only one way to find out, sis." Emily took a taxi to the Williams mansion. Her heart pounded as she travelled the familiar streets that led her to Ethan. Helen greeted her with a huge smile. "Dear, I'm so glad you came. Mr. Ethan is in his study, but he won't let me in. He hasn't eaten properly for 2 days. Can I go up to see him?" "Of course! It's time you two sorted this out." Emily climbed the marble staircase on trembling legs. Ethan's study was on the second floor, at the end of a hallway lined with family portraits. She knocked softly on the door. "Helen, I already told you I'm not hungry," came Ethan's hoarse voice from inside. "I'm not Helen," Emily replied softly. There was a long silence, then the sound of hurried footsteps. The door opened, and Ethan appeared with dishevelled hair, a 2-day beard, and eyes that revealed a lack of sleep. "Emily," he murmured, as if he couldn't believe she was there. "Hi, Ethan." They looked at each other for several seconds, gauging each other's emotions. "Can I come in?" Ethan stepped aside, and Emily entered the study. It was a warm space, filled with books, with a lit fireplace and large windows overlooking the garden. On the desk she saw several scattered documents and recognized her own name on some of them. "What is all this?" she asked, pointing to the papers. Research on your father's scholarship fund. I'm trying to calculate everything your family should have received over the years, with interest. Emily felt her eyes fill with tears. Ethan, I'm also arranging a full scholarship for you to study at a culinary school, whichever one you want, here or abroad. Why are you doing this? Ethan approached slowly, as if afraid she might disappear. Because I want to honor your father. Because I want to amend, even a little, the pain my family unintentionally caused, and because I want you to know that my feelings for you are completely separate from all this. I came to tell you something, Emily murmured. What? That I forgive you, that I forgive your family, that I understand it was an accident, and that my father would have wanted me to move on with my life. Ethan felt his breath catch. And what does that mean for us? Emily moved closer until she was just inches from him. It means I want to try, that I want to really get to know you without fear, without the past between us, that I want to see if what I'm feeling is as real as I think it is. Emily. Ethan raised his hands and gently caressed her cheeks. What I feel for you is the most real thing I've ever felt in my life. Even if I come from a different world, even if I don't know which fork to use at fancy dinners, even if my family lives in a small apartment, especially because of that, because you've taught me that what's truly valuable can't be bought with money, because you've shown me what it means to cook with love, to work with dignity, to love unconditionally. They slowly leaned towards each other, and when their lips touched, Emily felt all the pain, all the confusion, all the doubts melt away. The kiss was soft at first, then more intense, full of promises and hopes. When they parted, Ethan rested his forehead against hers. I love you, Emily Johnson. I love you with all my soul. And I love you, too, Ethan Williams. Despite the fear, despite the differences, despite everything. They hugged tightly, and Emily felt she had finally found her place in the world. It wasn't in a palace or a mansion, but in the arms of someone who valued her for who she truly was. What are we going to do now? She asked, her voice muffled against his chest. Now, we're going to build something beautiful together. We're going to write our own story, no matter what anyone else says. And your family, will they accept me? My grandmother already adores you. My parents will learn to love you when they see how happy you make me. And if not, well, then they'll have to choose. Emily pulled back to look him in the eyes. I don't want you to have problems with your family because of me. The only way I'd have problems is if I weren't honest about what I feel. And what I feel is that I want to spend the rest of my life with you. They spent the rest of the afternoon talking, planning, dreaming together. Ethan showed her the documents for the scholarship fund, told her about the grants, about the opportunities that were now opening up for her. But I want you to know something, Emily told him. I'm accepting the scholarship because it's what my family was entitled to, but I don't want you to think I'm with you because of it. I would never think that. I know your feelings are genuine. When night fell, Ethan insisted on taking her home. This time, Emily didn't protest. She wanted him to truly know her world, without shame, without apologies. They arrived at her apartment building, and Ethan observed everything with genuine interest. The children playing in the street, the women chatting on their stoops, the aroma of home-cooked meals wafting from the windows. It's beautiful, he said simply. Beautiful? It's a poor neighborhood, Ethan. It's beautiful because there's real life here, because people know each other. They look out for one another, because it smells like home. They climbed the stairs to the apartment where Carol and Sarah greeted them with knowing smiles. Ethan greeted them both with genuine respect and affection, asking about Carol's health, praising Sarah's studies. Will you stay for dinner? Carol asked. If it's no trouble. Of course not. Emily, show Ethan how we make Grandma's beef stew. That night, in the small apartment kitchen, Emily and Ethan cooked together. He watched her with fascination as she prepared each ingredient, explaining the secret she had learned from her grandmother. It's amazing how you transform simple ingredients into something magical, he said, as she seared the beef. The magic isn't in the ingredients, it's in the love you prepare them with. During dinner, Emily's family shared stories, anecdotes, memories. Ethan felt more at home at that small formica table than at all the elegant banquets of his life. When they said goodbye at the door, Ethan took Emily's hands. "Thank you for letting me into your world. Thank you for wanting to be in it. Emily, there's something else I want to tell you." "What?" "I want us to be partners. I want us to open a restaurant together. You'd be the chef, I'd handle the business side. We could create something that's completely ours." Emily's eyes filled with tears of emotion. "Are you serious?" "Completely. I want the world to taste your food, to see the incredible talent you have. But more than that, I want to build something with you, something that will be the symbol of our love." Emily stood on her tiptoes and gave him a tender kiss. "Yes, yes to everything. To the restaurant, to the dreams, to us." 6 months later, Emily stood in the kitchen of the restaurant Heart and Soul, wearing her chef's uniform with her name embroidered on it. The place was perfect, elegant but cozy, with the warmth of a home but the professionalism of a first-class restaurant. Ethan entered the kitchen with a huge smile. "Ready for opening night?" "Ready," Emily replied, though she had butterflies in her stomach. "I have a surprise for you," Ethan said, taking a small velvet box from his pocket. Emily's heart stopped. "Ethan, Emily Johnson, these months with you have been the happiest of my life. You've taught me what it means to truly love, to work with passion, and to live with an open heart. Will you marry me?" He opened the box, revealing a simple but beautiful ring, with an emerald the same color as her eyes. "Yes," Emily cried, throwing herself into his arms. 1,000 times, yes. They kissed in the middle of the kitchen, surrounded by the aroma of spices and the sound of pots and pans, while outside their families and friends waited to celebrate not only the opening of the restaurant, but the love that had been born among stoves and had grown into something unbreakable. That night, as they served the first banquet in their restaurant, Emily watched the tables full of happy people enjoying her food, and Ethan moving among the diners with that smile she now knew was just for her. Mr. Peterson had been right. True love doesn't abandon you when things get tough, and Mrs. Eleanor had also been right. True love isn't easy, but it doesn't have to be impossible. Emily had learned that real love isn't about social classes, money, or fitting into perfect molds. Real love is about finding someone who sees you completely, who values your dreams, who wants to build something beautiful with you. And as she prepared the last dish of the night, with Ethan taking her free hand and squeezing it gently, Emily knew she had found not only the love of her life, but also her partner in adventure, her partner in dreams, and her home anywhere in the world. This story isn't just about them. It could also be about you. Do you believe in love that transforms lives? Have you ever felt that special connection with someone? Comment with your experience and the city you're following from. Give this a like if this story touched your heart. Subscribe to the channel for more stories like this, and tell us what kind of story you'd like to see next time. The scent of cinnamon and vanilla filled every corner of Heart and Soul, mingling with the cheerful voices of the diners and the gentle clinking of cutlery against porcelain. Emily Williams, she still had trouble getting used to her new last name, watched from the kitchen doorway, the hustle and bustle of the restaurant on a typical Saturday night. 5 years had passed since that rainy night that changed her destiny. 5 years in which she had learned that true love not only transforms hearts, but builds empires when nurtured with work, dedication, and shared dreams. Heart and Soul was no longer just a restaurant. It had become an institution in Los Angeles. With 3 branches operating and a 4th under construction, the place where it all began remained the heart of their culinary empire. The walls were adorned with photographs that told their story. The first, opening night, the day they received their first Michelin star, the moment Bon Appetit magazine named them the best contemporary American restaurant on the West Coast. But for Emily, the most important photographs were others. The image of her father in a place of honor by the entrance, with a plaque that read, "Joseph Johnson, Man of Honor, Exemplary Father, Hero at Heart." The photo of her wedding to Ethan in Mrs. Eleanor's garden, surrounded by both families who had learned to love each other as one, and the most recent, she and Ethan holding their 2-year-old twins, Joseph and Eleanor, in the garden of their new house. "Chef Emily, Table 15 is asking if they can congratulate you personally," said Carlos, her sous chef, interrupting her thoughts. "Who are they?" she asked, adjusting the apron embroidered with the restaurant's logo. "An elderly couple who say they came all the way from Portland just to try your grandmother's beef stew." Emily smiled. These were her favorite visitors. The people who traveled hundreds of miles just to try her food, who understood that each dish carried a story, a tradition, a piece of her soul. She left the kitchen and headed to Table 15, where a couple in their 70s awaited her with radiant smiles. "Are you the folks from Portland?" she asked warmly. "Yes," the woman replied, standing up to hug her. "I'm Esperanza, and this is my husband, Manuel. We've been saving for 2 years to come and see this place." 2 years? Emily was deeply moved. "You can't imagine what this means to us," Manuel explained with an emotional voice. "We also had a small restaurant for 40 years. We could never expand, never got any awards, but we saw on the news everything you had achieved, and it gave us hope. It gave us hope that food made with love, food from people like us, could go far," Esperanza added, with tears in her eyes. Emily felt a lump in her throat. She sat with them, forgetting for a moment about the other tables, the pending orders, everything except these 2 people who represented the why behind everything she had built. "You know what?" she said, standing up. "I'm going to prepare something special for you. Not something from the menu, but something my grandmother taught me that I've never served here." She returned to the kitchen with renewed energy. As she prepared a special batch of her grandmother's biscuits, she remembered all the nights she had spent doubting if she really deserved to be where she was, if she really belonged in this world of awards and food critics. The answer was always found in moments like this, when her food connected with people's hearts, when she made someone remember their grandmother, when she could make a couple who had saved for 2 years to taste her food happy. Ethan appeared in the kitchen, elegant as always in his navy blue suit, but with that smile that still gave her butterflies after 5 years of marriage. "Everything okay?" "Carlos told me." "You're making something off menu." "Everything's perfect," Emily replied, standing on her tiptoes to give him a quick kiss. "Just remembering why we do this." "And the kids?" "Sleeping like angels. Your mom is with them, and Sarah will be here in an hour to take over." Sarah had finished her business administration degree and was now the general manager of the 3 restaurant branches. Carol worked as a quality supervisor, ensuring that every dish maintained the standards Emily had set. It was beautiful to see how the whole family had grown along with the dream. "By the way," Ethan said, pulling an envelope from his jacket, "this arrived today. It's from the Joseph Johnson Foundation." Emily opened the envelope with slightly trembling hands. The Joseph Johnson Foundation was her most cherished project, a program that awarded full scholarships to the children of construction workers who wanted to study culinary arts, business administration, or any career that would help them get ahead. The letter was from Alejandra, a 19-year-old young woman from Phoenix who had been their first scholarship recipient. She had just graduated as a chef with honors and had gotten a job at one of the best restaurants in Paris. "Dear Emily," the letter read, "I have no words to thank you for everything you've done for me. Today, as I prepared for my first service at Le Bernardin, I thought of you, of my dad who worked his whole life in construction so I could study, and how you showed me that dreams can come true. Next year, I'm returning to the States to open my own restaurant in Phoenix, and I want you to know that everything I learned from you, from culinary techniques to the importance of cooking with your heart, I will apply there. Someday I hope to help other young people just as you helped me." Emily finished reading with tears in her eyes. Ethan hugged her from behind. resting his chin on her shoulder. "Your dad would be proud," he whispered in her ear. "I hope so. I hope he can see everything we've built in his memory. I'm sure he can, and I'm sure he's smiling seeing his grandchildren running around the house, carrying his name with honor." Joseph Johnson Williams was born exactly 3 years after their wedding, followed 5 minutes later by his sister, Eleanor Carroll Williams. The twins were the light of their lives, two little hurricanes that filled every corner of their home with laughter and mischief. Joseph had inherited his mother's green eyes and his grandfather's calm personality, while Eleanor had her father's blue eyes and her grandmother Carol's determined temperament. Both already showed an interest in the kitchen, climbing on stools to help Emily make cookies on Sunday mornings. "Do you know what day it is tomorrow?" Ethan asked, gently kissing her neck. "Sunday. It's the 5th anniversary of our first official date, when we walked through Griffith Park and bought hot dogs." Emily turned in his arms, surprised that he remembered. "That detail. I can't believe you remember that. I remember every important moment of our story, like the day I first saw you in my kitchen, singing while you made that cioppino, or the night you told me you loved me, or the moment our children were born. And what do you propose for a celebration?" "That tomorrow, after service, we go to Griffith Park with the kids. We'll buy them hot dogs, tell them our story, show them the place where their mum and dad realized they wanted to spend the rest of their lives together." Emily smiled, remembering the insecure young woman she had been 5 years ago, who doubted she deserved the love of someone like Ethan. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked suddenly. "Regret what?" "Falling in love with a diner cook, choosing a complicated life instead of marrying some heiress like your parents wanted." Ethan took her face in both hands, looking at her with that intensity that still disarmed her. "Emily Williams, you are the best decision I have ever made in my life. You are my partner, my companion, the mother of my children, my best friend, and the love of my life. If I had to go back and choose again, I would choose you 1,000 times over." They kissed in the middle of the kitchen, surrounded by the familiar aroma of spices and the constant sound of the restaurant's activity. It was a kiss that tasted of fulfilled promises, realized dreams, and a love that had grown and strengthened with every challenge overcome. When they parted, Emily looked around, her kitchen, her kingdom, the place where she had transformed her pain into purpose, her fear into courage, her dream into reality. "Do you know what's the most incredible thing about all this?" she said, pointing towards the dining room full of people. "What?" "That it started with a terrible night, with tears, with hopelessness, with the feeling that I was worthless. And look where we are now." "That's because the best stories always begin with endings," Ethan replied, wisely. "Your story with Ryan had to end so that ours could begin. And how do you think our story will end?" "I don't think our story will ever end. I think we'll keep writing it every day, with every dish you cook, with every smile from our children, with every new dream we decide to pursue together." Carlos appeared again at the kitchen door. "Chef, the couple from Portland wants to speak with you again. They say they've never tasted biscuits so authentic." Emily smiled, wiping away tears of happiness. "I'll be right there." Before leaving, she paused in the doorway and turned back to Ethan. "I love you, my husband, and I love you, my extraordinary chef." She returned to the dining room, where Esperanza and Manuel waited with expressions of pure gratitude. In their faces, Emily could see reflected all the people who had touched her life over these 5 years, the diners who returned time and again, the young chefs who came to learn from her, the families who celebrated important moments in her restaurant. But more than that, she could see reflected the woman she had become, self-confident but humble, successful, but with her feet on the ground, professionally fulfilled, but never forgetting where she came from. That night, after the last customer had left and the team had finished cleaning, Emily and Ethan were left alone in the empty restaurant. They sat at the table where they had dined on their first official date, sharing a glass of wine and looking at the photographs on the walls. "Do you know which is my favorite photo?" Emily asked. "Which one?" "The one from our wedding, but not the official one." The one Sarah took when we weren't looking during the first dance. We look so happy, so complete. That's my favorite too. But you know what my next favorite photo will be? What? The one we're going to take tomorrow in Griffith Park with our kids, in the same spot where we realized we wanted to be together forever. Emily rested her head on Ethan's shoulder, feeling a deep peace in her heart. They had built something beautiful together, not just the restaurant or the family, but a life full of purpose, love, and shared dreams. 5 years ago, she had been a desperate young woman who thought her life had no value. Today, she was a successful woman, a mother of 2 beautiful children, the wife of a man who loved her unconditionally, and the owner of a culinary empire that employed over 100 people. But most importantly, she had learned to love herself, to value her talent, to believe in her dreams. She had discovered that true love doesn't come to complete you, but to accompany you as you complete yourself. "Ethan," she murmured, closing her eyes. "Yes? Thank you for seeing me when I couldn't see myself. Thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. Thank you for teaching me that true love isn't about deserving, but about choosing, day after day, to build something beautiful together. Thank you for teaching me that real happiness isn't found in the things you can buy, but in the people you choose to love and the dreams you decide to pursue." As they left the restaurant that night, hand in hand under the Los Angeles stars, Emily knew that her story was much more than a fairy tale. It was living proof that when true love meets hard work, genuine passion, and unwavering determination, no dream is too big and no love is too deep. Her story had begun with tears on a rainy night, but it had blossomed into a testament of hope for all those who believed their dreams were too big or their love was impossible. And as they walked to their car, towards their home, towards their children waiting for them asleep, Emily knew that this was not the conclusion of her story, but merely the end of the first chapter of a life that was just beginning to be written.